Uncircumcised. This is gonna be a hard straw to swallow for all you Xbox fanboys out there, but Game Pass is ruining gaming. Let me tell you why. It's not made by Sony. There you go. See, Game Pass is single-handedly turning more and more games into live services. Want further proof? Doom Eternal. It's on Game Pass and you know what it has? A battle pass and a tier system. Not to mention the boatloads of DLC that should have been in the actual game at launch. As usual, fuck Microsoft, fuck 'em up, and Kim Jong-un reviews out. Uncircumcised.
You know, everybody talks about Game Pass as it is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
What kind of fucking analogy is that? Greatest thing since sliced bread? I'm trying to figure out what the fuck that means. Was he trying to say, like, since Jesus broke bread and had, like, a stroke halfway through? I have no clue, but I do know that it doesn't make sense whatsoever.
And if you ever talk negatively about it, or bring up the fact that you might think that it not be the greatest thing ever, you know, then you get a lot of hate on you and things like that, you know?
No, people don't get hate for the sole reason that they criticize Game Pass. Like, if for some reason Game Pass's quality drops to the level of PS Now, then I can 100% understand why people would be throwing shit at Game Pass. But the thing is, most of the people making an attempt to criticize Game Pass are absolute shit at it. They try to say PS Now is better for the sole reason that PS Now has more games. They downplay how much of a good deal it is. They say everyone wants to own their games rather than pay a monthly fee for a bunch of them, when obviously that's wrong from how many subscribers there are to Game Pass. And then they try to say that it's getting destroyed by fucking time trials on PlayStation that start as soon as you hit the download button.
No, I really honestly feel like just having an honest opinion about it these days is something that really will get you a lot of hate.
That's another thing I wanted to say. No, people don't hate you for making dog shit criticisms of Game Pass. We laugh at you. No one is genuinely getting pressed over a dog shit take on video games of all things. It's just funny.
And I've come to kind of understand that and expect that, and it kind of is what it is, because I'll always speak my mind about these type of things and how I feel about it. And so when everybody's like, you just wish Sony had a thing like Game Pass, and I see stories like this, it makes me really happy to see that, you know, Sony doesn't have a Game Pass situation, in particular like day and date games.
Let me get this fucking straight. Xbox has games that are most of the time full price come to their service sometimes day and day for $10 a month, and you're telling me you would rather pay $60 for those games at launch? That's some hard copium right there, but continue.
Mainly because you would have to build these games specifically around that type of service, and I feel like those games end up being the worse off in a lot of ways because of that.
He's literally trying to say now that games will be worse because they launch on Game Pass. Games are worse now because you can get a better deal on them than paying $60 for them at launch. You can't make this shit up.
Not that there'll be bad games, but just in general, you're really kind of setting yourself up and setting yourself apart because you're trying to make games that are going to lure people back.
So games are worse now because they may make you want to play games across a longer period of time? The fuck? How high do you have to be to go through the mental gymnastics of saying games will be worse by having more replay value and having you want to go back to them? Like, I get padding your game can be a shitty thing to do, but just like take multiplayer games for example, that's somehow a bad thing because they're super replayable now. Jesus Christ.
You're going to try and set out games that you know, people will come back to and things like that, and I feel like that's not necessarily what PlayStation games are about.
But games don't have to draw people back into it to be on Game Pass. Look at stuff like The Medium. I'd say that's a pretty one and done game. Outer Worlds, Control, Dragon Quest XI. I wouldn't really say too many of those games have replay value. Hell, Sony even has a subscription service similar to Game Pass, and I know I rag on PS Now a shit ton, but I mean, it has a few Sony games on there, and obviously it isn't doing great because the quality in general isn't that great, nor really is the marketing, but it isn't like it failed commercially or something. It's still running.
And not every game has to be about that. Not every game has to be a single player experience either, but I do think that, you know, what PlayStation does best is, you know, create some amazing, you know, exclusives that are single player.
That's not what they do best. That's like the only thing they do. And you could definitely say that the only things Microsoft has popular are multiplayer games, which is true, but that's exactly why they bought Bethesda, so they can branch out into more single player focused games.
And, you know, they can branch out, but again, you don't really see Microsoft, on the other hand, creating amazing single player experiences, because I don't think it really would work out very well for the Game Pass model.
It obviously would, since there are a shit ton of single player games already on Game Pass, which I don't feel like getting into detail because I already listed 4.
I'm very interested to get into this, so let's go ahead and go.
What's up, everybody? It's me, Crapgamer, here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. If you could give us a simple like, that would be amazing. You know, I really do appreciate that, and appreciate the love and support and stuff. So, yeah, you guys have been pretty cool. Love seeing that. Love seeing all the cool stuff and you know, the positivity and things like that. It's really cool, and I just much appreciate it.
So we know Forza Horizon 5 is coming out again. Despite what people think, I do think it has been downgraded a bit.
I mean, probably, but why don't you ever call out Sony for downgrading their games? Have you seen the gameplay trailer for Last of Us 2?
But I still think it's going to be a good game. It's a game that I have pre-ordered. Obviously, I think the Horizon games have always been good, but the interesting thing is they've given an interview about how they built Horizon 5 around Game Pass, and that's the part that makes me worry. With how successful Game Pass has been for Microsoft with 18 million subscribers, as reported earlier this year, it shouldn't come as much as a surprise that certain titles are influenced by it. Playground Games' Forza Horizon 5 is an interesting example in that respect. Its predecessor was already quite popular in the service despite launching before it was a thing.
Crap, how hard is it to just show a screenshot of the article in your video? I get it, editing can be a bitch, but you're literally not putting any effort into your video at all. And that's coming from a fucking Leafy clone of all people.
Speaking to Press Start, creative director Mike Brown says the developer got very good at being a Game Pass game and noted that you do have to look at things differently. Having players that could potentially return after several months is one of those. Curious facts that are true of Game Pass game design. No one ever trades you in and they might not install it, but they always own you. You're going to be a title, you're going to be a thumbnail on the dash, and that means the friction to get you back in the game is very low. Brown also noted that the success of the service is also dependent on the game's social element, something which Forza Horizon 4 also did very well. When someone in your friendship group plays the title, then all of your friends that are on Game Pass have that title. If you can have social features or features that encourage you to say, hey, can we do this thing in co-op, then you're going to be going in to do better on Game Pass. As for Forza Horizon 5 has been designed with Game Pass in mind, there are the festival playlists. These are weekly affairs which confer rewards for participants. It feels like a snackable and manageable amount of stuff that's new and that you can jump right into right now, and in a few days there'll be some more. I think again that really helps blend with the way people play games on Game Pass. This may explain the philosophy behind the new Horizon Arcade, which offers a variety of multiplayer minigames throughout the map, like popping piñatas, along with introduction to Horizon Open. It also puts the addition of titles like Outriders, Dungeons
The fuck? Now he wants to show the article? Why is it so delayed?
and Dragons Dark Alliance and the upcoming Back for Blood to the service in greater perspective. It's out November 9th. Now, the interesting thing about this is, and I've kind of noted this multiple times, you know, we are in this very kind of weird situation where Microsoft is heavily pushing games as a service.
I mean, I guess you could say that, but at the same time, there are a lot of single-player games that have been on Game Pass that are nothing close to games as a service. Not to mention they also bought Bethesda, which is most well known for their single-player RPGs.
And, you know, you really need to, you know, understand where I'm coming from that, where not every game needs to be that. Now, I love Forza Horizon 3. That might be the best racing game of all time. I always kind of go back between that one and the first one. I really love the first one, how it had more of a story.
Why the fuck do we need a story in a racing game?
And how you started off really ranked low. And then you had to build yourself up to rank 1. I like that aspect of the game. Part 4 felt a lot like 3, which is good because I like 3 so much, but then they added in all these things. I got to be honest with you, I wasn't a big fan of like the weather changes and stuff. I hated the winter, to be honest with you, but aside from that, it just felt like they wanted to make Destiny on cars or something, you know.
And what exactly is wrong with that? Like, if the game's not unfinished, like, for example, with Halo Infinite, like, if they literally cut levels out from the main campaign to release it later down the line, it's fine. Horizon 4 doesn't even have microtransactions, and from what I've searched, nothing's been confirmed that Horizon 5 will have microtransactions, so it's literally just adding content later down the line to the game. Like, I didn't see any bitching when stuff like The Last of Us 2's Grounded mode got released a few months later, or the multiplayer mode in Ghost of Tsushima. So why is it any different here? Oh, wait, Sony good, Microsoft bad.
Dailies and weeklies and stuff, and I'm just not interested in that. You know what I mean? They really want to put a focus on doing this stuff with your friends and playing. Like, I just liked it because, you know, racing games are something you can play by yourself and just have a good time with it. Yeah, some people like to do the races and the online stuff, and I get that, but I think most people that play racing games really just like to play and kind of experience these things for themselves. And, you know, just the fact that it's like, they make it very unclear on what you got to do to get, you know, to actually finish a certain aspect of it or whatever. You know, I just find that to be, you know, a weird situation, you know. And the same thing happened to Gears of War 5. And I point this out and people don't believe me. So what they did in Gears of War 5 was create an arcade mode. And arcade mode was the only mode that you couldn't play crossplay with PC. Why? Because they don't want you to get skunked by PC players using keyboard and mouse and stuff like that. And it was supposed to be a less hardcore mode. You know, or wait, no, there was actually PC crossplay in that.
So why did you leave that entire part about PC crossplay in? You could have cut that part out and saved us all about like 20 seconds of hearing your voice.
And, you know, I always felt like that was a really bad situation to be in, because the only way that you could play without the PC players was playing the real hardcore stuff in ranked, you know, where you pretty much get your ass kicked all the time.
The fuck? Gears 5 literally has keyboard and mouse support on the Xbox, so it wouldn't matter if it were crossplay or not. The only thing limiting crossplay would do is not letting people play with their friends for absolutely no reason.
And now it doesn't matter because everything is crossplay anyway, but, you know, for me, I just felt like, you know, having an arcade mode, doing a boot camp, like a reintroduction to things, you know, changing the story. You get rid of the of war. And
did he really just say that Gears 5 is worse than the previous games because they took out the of war in the title? That's a new low even for Crapgamer.
You know, all this stuff to really kind of dumb down the game, and I felt like it didn't work out very well for, you know, for that franchise. And who knows if it might work out a little bit better for a racing game, but I just feel like having a priority, like how is this going to affect stuff like Halo? How is this going to affect?
You can see right now how it's affected Halo, and it's barely changed. From what I know, MCC only has the free battle pass system that's new, which is nothing but an incentive for players to want to come back to the game, which I seriously don't know how you can spin around as a bad thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's going to be microtransactions in Halo Infinite, but that's because it's free to play.
Stuff in the future, like I don't want to play Fable. You know, I don't want the new Fable to have multiplayer or, you know, co-op or anything. You know, I wanted to.
Why would Microsoft make Starfield a single-player RPG and exclusive to Xbox and PC, but make Fable, another single-player RPG, a multiplayer game? And what tells you that Fable is going to be multiplayer other than Microsoft bad?
Just be a great RPG single-player experience. That's really how I kind of feel about it. And for me, I just feel like, you know, people kind of forget that. People really kind of go into this with a different type of thought and a different type of mentality that this isn't a good thing. And imagine
they're literally just adding DLC to their games. How is this in any way a bad thing if the games are going to be finished when they launch?
If Sony were building games specifically around a Game Pass situation, you know, I feel like it probably wouldn't really end very well.
No, they could literally just keep doing what they've been doing the past year or so by just adding some DLC to the game after it comes out, like a couple modes, skins, the multiplayer that Ghost of Tsushima had. It's not even a negative for the people buying the game, because those people too are going to have incentives to come back to the game.
You know, could you imagine, like, if they would have to possibly force a bunch of DLC or force a bunch of, you know, force a bunch of, you know, content down your throat.
How do you force DLC? Aside from cutting content out of your game to release it later as DLC, which from what I've seen, none of the Game Pass focused games have been doing, especially free DLC. Kind of like how stuff like The Witcher 3 did.
And maybe even possibly have to get in a situation where they were forceful in making it to where, you know, gamers had to, you know, because they wanted you to keep coming back to it. So maybe add in microtransactions or...
Except they haven't even hinted at adding in microtransactions to any of the Game Pass focused games aside from Halo Infinite. But again, the only reason Halo Infinite has microtransactions is because it's fucking free.
You know, incomplete game and then add expansions later on or whatever. And, you know, for me personally, I just feel like that probably wouldn't be the best thing to happen. And I do hope that we get some amazing games, but making games specifically for a service doesn't seem like it's such a great idea.
They're literally just adding incentives to come back to fit the Game Pass model. That's all they're doing, and you're calling it a bad thing. This shit boggles my mind. It's like the whole thing with exclusives. Fanboys are totally fine with paying for online, paying $70 for games, paying $60 for remasters, but when games start getting free DLC, no, that's too far. Boycott Xbox.
In my opinion, and I hope that, you know, that's something that we can change before too long. You know what I mean? Like, like, the thing is, this directly contradicts what we were told about Game Pass in the first place, right? Like, we were told that they don't have to change anything to put it into Game Pass.
I don't remember them saying shit about that, but I'll take your word for it because you seem like a nice guy. But even then, they're not changing the actual game. They're just giving people a reason to want to come back to the game.
And now it's like so obvious that that wasn't the truth, and we're in this situation where, yeah, you know, things do change because of that. So, you know, I find it to be a little bit odd, and you know, I know you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about.
Damn straight.
But you know, for me, it's just upsetting to see that. I don't like the way that gaming you know, has gone with this whole services stuff. You know, it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me.
Let me simple it down in monkey terms. Monkey gets a banana, right? Monkey eats the banana, but then Monkey is told that if he wants to, he can come back for another banana with chocolate on it. Does that answer your question?
Like, I like traditional gaming.
Then where was your bitching about Ghost of Tsushima's multiplayer?
Keep that same energy. And building these games to where everything has to be a Destiny type of situation doesn't do much for me. I'm being honest about it. So with that being said, though, I would appreciate your guys' thoughts and impact and influence on this. What do you guys think?
Crap, why are you asking for people's thoughts? You're literally just asking for people to roast you.
I would appreciate it if you guys would let me know. Are you guys bothered by this, or is it something you don't care about?
Why would anyone be bothered about free DLC coming to a video game?
I think that, you know, probably maybe some of you are if you're a PlayStation.
That's right. If you aren't bothered by free DLC, you're not a real PlayStation fan.
If you're an Xbox fan, you're probably, you know, will just love whatever they do anyway, so it won't really matter. But yeah, this is something that has been very kind of intrusive to me in the past, and I got to get that kind of explanation out there as to why I'm not a fan of it. So
mission failed. We'll get them next time.
With that being said, thank you guys very much for watching. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crapgamer 'em up. Crapgamer out.
Well, Crap, I must say you did a terrible job of facting him up, but you definitely Crapgamered him up, so good on you, I guess. I genuinely can't believe that people are getting pressed over games having free DLC and incentives to come back to them. Jesus Christ, he's literally reached a whole new low. Not only does he not want more people playing his games, but he doesn't want people playing his games longer than him now. Dear God, I'm done. Fuck this. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.